So this time I'm going to show some of the basics on how I paint this this type of foam. With the project board or the insulation foam, you can actually get away with using spray paint. You know, if you were going for a small or one specific piece, I would probably lay down a base coat with the spray paint and then do fine detail work with a brush, like I would do with any other kind of customizing. I'm planning on doing a lot of these though, so for the most part I want to get away with as much spray paint work as I can as possible without having to get the brush out. I know at some point there will be some detail work required even then. I found that there's usually no deterioration of the spray paint or the propellant eating away this type of styrofoam. You know, if you were going for a small or one specific piece, I would probably lay down a base coat with the spray paint and then do fine detail work with a brush, like I would do with any other kind of customizing. I'm planning on doing a lot of these though, so for the most part I want to get away with as much spray paint work as I can as possible without having to get the brush out. I know at some point there will be some detail work required even then. I found that there's usually no deterioration of the spray paint or the propellant eating away this type of styrofoam. If you're doing a project with the open cell type styrofoam, that may become an issue for you, but if you're using insulation board, you're usually pretty good. This is just cheap Krylon shortcut, a couple bucks at Walmart type paint that I'm going to use for the black. This might actually be a gloss, I don't even know, but by the time this is going to be painted it won't matter. So again, putting mask on, and the main thing I focus on with the first coat of the spray paint, and by the way I have a fan running here towards an open garage door. You don't want to do this without having good ventilation and protection as well for your nose. But the focus of the spray paint here with the black on this first round is to get it into the cracks and crevices that you just dug out with the wood burner or hot knife, just so that when you start to colorize the brick and stone or whatever it is on the top layer, you're always going to have the base coat underwash there in black. Obviously it helps to have a workbench in an area with good airflow, but also you don't mind getting a lot of spray paint on. Okay, so for rough coat purposes, there's that. By the time I'm done, I usually will have also sprayed the ends, just so that depending on what kind of pictures or whatever else I'm going to want to take, you don't have to crop out too much to still be able to get the effect that you're looking for. The thing that helps me get away from, because I don't even have gray spray paint on me here today, the thing that helps me get this going is just alternating black and white, and I don't go heavy coats of white when I'm doing that. Kind of get a light brush type, dry brush almost type effect with a really light coating of it, because I always hope that I'm not spray painting my phone in the process. So you can see already lightening up and getting a little bit of grays now mixed in with that deeper black on the undercoating. To get that effect, you want to do the white on top of the black while the black is still wet, obviously. I also bought some of this Rust-Oleum stone textured spray paint. It doesn't match the color here, but it will give a little bit of texture and a little bit of odd quirks and defects. You can see here I made a big divot, big hole in the middle of the stonework where there had been some kind of a attack or accident or something happening. So just as many different quirks as you can get is going to make it look a little bit more realistic. You don't never want to quite overdo it. but at this stage you can spray as much as you want on, and I'm going to keep covering that up also. Good thing to know with this type of work, especially at the carving stage, is you can never really mess it up. If you get a line out of place or something wrong, hey, you just say, hey, here's a spot where a hammer dropped or something, and you just work with it, burn it out even more, and then spray paint over it. The key with the white, I got a little bit of actual white splatter here. If you're wearing a glove, you can also do this. You could get a big brush out, and as you spray paint, kind of mix different spots together that way too. But I don't really want white to show up as white. I got a few droplets there. You want it to be more of a mist that you can blend in with the other paints. Now this hole here, I want to make sure stays a little darker. And when you're talking about an old wall like this, if it's in a dungeon or a cavern or whatever it's going to be, you know, you're not going to have very uniform colorized rocks, and there's going to be spots where there's water and whatever else. You want to mix all that in. You can see it's getting right up in there with the spray paint, and it's not eating away the styrofoam at all. Also, as you can see here, there's still a lot of the styrofoam visible when I did the base coat of black paint. Should have been spinning it around to make sure I was getting all parts of that. But that's actually probably the one area where some brush work will still come in later to fill in some of these with a little bit of a wash. That would just be a very watered down coat of like acrylic, cheap craft paint in black. And maybe a little bit more uneven and mottled there. Still fix that with a little bit more weight. Now, one thing I didn't do on this project, which sometimes I will focus on, just because this is more background work, I don't need, like I said, the fine details. One thing you can do on this is also pre-treat the styrofoam or the insulation board with something rough, like a rolled up piece of tin foil. You know, it's going to be a little different here since I've already painted. You can kind of press in. Even here it's maybe just giving some different colorization as it breaks through the top layer of paint. But the main point here being to get rid of the ultra smooth surface that this type of insulation board has, and help create a little bit more of the stone effect. It's something I would do on a case-by-case basis depending on what ultimately the project is going to call for.